so nice out. The weather is so nice. The skies are really clear because it was raining for like a week straight. So all the smog and the pollution and stuff is just not there. Atlas looking fantastic as ever. Okay, let me read the thank you MaRin thread. I have to read this. Okay. So, link, Team Liquid lol. A statement from Team Liquid. Okay, let's read both of these. Okay, so, for you guys that do not know, right, I was very, very critical of the MaRin acquisition when it was announced because MaRin has done nothing in competitive League of Legends for years. There is nothing that ever points to a former high-level player being of any value to a team in a coaching role. There's literally nothing that points towards that. The idea that it could be something of value would normally be seen in the way that the person either approaches things in the game, either they talk about the game or they have like content on it, or again, the way that they end up conducting themselves inside of the game, I think can be indicative of that. Because otherwise, there's no reason to think that they would ever be able to provide value or something new that a player wouldn't be able to provide. So that was one of the big things with the MaRin the acquisition that I talked about. Okay, so we would like to thank TL MaRin for dedicating his time with us here at Team Liquid Honda. A statement from Team Liquid. We will be parting ways with our LCS head coach MaRin. We have reached a mutual agreement to go our separate ways due to differing opinions and MaRin's personal issues, okay? Thank you, MaRin, for your time in Team Liquid, and we wish you the best in your future endeavors. Statement from Team Liquid. So one of the really, okay, so this is the statement from Team Liquid, and it's also available in Korean. So one of the other really interesting things is if you guys didn't follow the T1 drama with me a couple of years ago, there were a lot of people that were livid at the idea that me and Polt were going to end up being the coaches. And all of the Korean T1 fans were begging and crying and complaining that MaRin should be the T1 coach. And all this other stuff. And it makes literally no sense whatsoever to ever say that, you know, you should go from this, okay, 2018 playing top lane for top lane esports, and then playing in Africa for a short period of time, etc. That now also MaRin was not like a super top tier player in his last few years of playing the game. MaRin is still high MMR in Korea, and I believe that he's also high MMR in North America as well, and he was even playing Champions Queue. He's predominantly known for like almost only playing Rumble. He typically like not one tricks Rumble, but he does have like, yeah, I mean, he mostly gravitates toward playing Rumble a massive amount of the time. But he was gone from esports for basically 5 years. So during this 5 years, yes, he was streaming on Africa or like Twitch. I don't actually know. He did almost become T1, a coach on T1. That was the thing that did almost end up happening. But it didn't end up happening in the end. And then, you know, I thought that was pretty much it. And then somehow this offseason, I don't know how he ended up getting selected. I don't know who recommended him or who contacted him, because I know that there were other Korean coaches that were reached out to before MaRin. And this was in like October, these conversations, or like the end of October, early November, these conversations were going on. MaRin obviously gets picked up in November, but there were other coaches that were getting talked about. Now, if you guys watched the Team Liquid Squad series on YouTube, obviously I said that was the most exciting thing for me to watch on YouTube, just because I thought it was hilarious, the type of things that were going on in the squad conversations. It is, I think, a really good direct way of seeing conversations that it feels like nothing's being said. And I felt like that was almost always the instance. Now, obviously, it is edited footage. You're not seeing everything that's happening. However, Team Liquid looked like they got worse as the split went on. They had no identity. There was nothing, there was no unity in their gameplay at all. The players could not play laning phase. There was just there was a bunch of different things. And there was the squad episode where MaRin tells the players to figure it out on their own. I think that's hilarious. In general, I think the statement in general is hilarious. Now, one of the things that I've always remained adamant about is that it is very difficult to not at least appear like you have an identity. And I think that the existence of an identity when there previously wasn't one is a way that people can actually see there's something going on with coaching. Now, coaches in general are really difficult to evaluate because unless they make publicly available content, you can't really evaluate them. The notion that a team that wins means that it has the best coaching staff, or that a team that loses means that it has a bad coaching staff or the worst coaching staff, etc., is totally ridiculous. The reality is that coaching is a position that receives a disgusting amount of praise and an equally, an equal amount of disgusting criticism and flame for things that might not totally even be in the coach's control. And it's very difficult unless, again, the people make publicly available content, or there is something discernible within the gameplay that did not previously exist, and then it can also be alluded to by the players. That's the only way that I think that you can actually garner any insight into coaching. The other really crazy thing is that most people, when they talk about coaching in general, I feel like they have no idea what they're talking about when it comes to like different types of coaches or like what goes on behind the scenes, etc. It's just very strange. So let's take a look at the comment section while we still have a little bit of time before we go into the game. Let's make sure that we are live on time. Okay, we are live on time right now. Okay. Okay. So let's see what's going to go on here. Okay, we're almost in the draft. Let's see. Okay. Due to differing opinions in MaRin's personal issues, sounds like throwing shade. I definitely think it is throwing shade. The way that that's worded. LCS, we're trying something different this year. I mean, it's good. It's good. It's good drama, right? It actually, makes eyes come onto the league. It's not unexpected. MaRin wasn't a coach on another team before this. I always hated the MaRin will fix Summit because they're both top laners. As MaRin had been active in LoL like it all recently, to go from retirement to head coach is always widely off to me. Might explain why the team. I mean, head coach means a different thing in literally every team, so it doesn't matter. That's another problem with the title head coach. Is that there's no specific definition for it, depending on which region you're in or which team you're in, etc. For instance, head coach in Korea actually is not what head coach in North America and Europe is. So head coach in Korea basically means overseer, or it means like general manager plus overseer. But the way that North America uses head coach typically is associated with strategic coach or directional coach, like the coach that decides like the direction that everything's going to go. It doesn't always mean that it's the strategic coach, but obviously sometimes teams have different usages for this terminology, such as like EG. I don't believe that EG utilized head coach the way that it is utilized in most Western teams. They had head coach and then they had like strategy coach, which was kind of like the way that we use head coach and stuff. So that's sort of whatever. Okay. He's currently ranked 27. Compare that to the top laner that he's coaching. Let's see. Summit rank 460, but Summit's not actively playing solo queue and he's decaying. So like, this is another really good example of Reddit being Reddit. MaRin's current LP is also higher than Summit's peak, though, and MaRin's LP is pretty much entirely comes from Rumble. Summit's LP comes from, it's fine. Very curious what those differing opinions were. You guys need to play better at League. No. I feel bad for Steve. He just got swindled 2 years in a row. He got really swindled. Now, what I do hope is that this means that there's a chance that Whippo comes back in summer. I hope that there's a chance. Let me actually try to get the juice on this as we head into draft.